Artificial selection of the crops will also be done in order to produce plants with desirable traits. Germplasm collection is a particular place wherein all the crop varieties having different superior quality traits are collected and being stored. Selecting among the progeny of the hybrids have to be done based on the desired character combination, and this step yields plants that are superior to both the parents. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to another session on chapter 9 of 2nd PUC, that is strategies for enhancement in food production. I am Dr. Divya, biology faculty, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session of this chapter, we had discussed about animal breeding and we understood what animal breeding is, or two types of breeding procedures, which is called as the inbreeding and the outbreeding. And in outbreeding, we had studied about the outcross breeding, the cross breeding and the interspecific hybridization. And we also studied what are the strategies involved in order to stop inbreeding depression and what are the different techniques that are employed in breeding of animals. And we also studied about two important experimental procedures or techniques, which is called as the artificial insemination and the multiple ovulation and embryo transfer technique. In today's session, we shall talk about plant breeding and the steps that are involved in plant breeding. So we all know that as the population of a country grows, the demand for food also increases because crops, almost all the crop products are the staples for almost all human beings. So we can survive without meat but not without a staple food which is got from the crops, right? So in order to meet the needs of the growing population, we cannot depend on the age-old cultural practices in the production of the crops. We need to look in for the new techniques. So what are the different techniques that have been followed in order to improve the yields of the crop so that it can meet to the demands of the growing population in terms of food? So let us study about plant breeding. So plant breeding is the manipulation of, so it is a purposeful manipulation. Why? Because here we need to purposely manipulate in the case of breeding a plant, right? Because we are the ones who should select the seeds, right? So for that particular purpose, the nature cannot do it. It should be artificially done by the human being. So that is why plant breeding is a purposeful manipulation of plant species in order to obtain or create desired plant types that are better suited for cultivation and that give better yields and which are resistant to diseases. So in plant breeding, what we do usually is a farmer or a breeder, he chooses two plants which are healthy, which are able to grow in almost all environmental stresses, which are able to give better yields, which are easy to cultivate in different regions or different terrains and all that, and which are resistant to diseases. So such two crops are selected from the anther of one crop, that is the pollen grains are collected and that pollen grain will be dusted onto the other crop species of his particular interest and it will be bagged. So what happens there? Fertilization will occur. Once the fertilization occurs, the setting of the seeds will occur. That seed will be collected and it will be sowed again for the next sowing season. So that is how crop breeding or plant breeding is done. And plant breeding actually is not new age technique. It dates back to about 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. So early than itself, the plant breeding started, or people actually started to breed plants. And many present day crops that we have got is a result of the plant breeding that was done from the wild types of crops. So many present day crops are the result of the domestication in the ancient times. The best example that I can give you is of the maize. So maize, that was the wild varieties of maize or the age-old maize, was not easily consumable by the human beings. But because of the plant breeding techniques that was carried out, the present day maize that we get, we can even eat it when it is in the young kernels. We can eat it as such, or else we can even cook it easily and use it for various culinary purposes, right? But earlier maize was not at all consumable. It was not fit for consuming. And today, all the major food crops that are got today or that we see today are from the domesticated varieties. So all the wild varieties were domesticated. They were bred through plant breeders and farmers, and that is how we have the present day crops that we are using for various purposes as food. So for this plant breeding, there are a lot of techniques that are involved. So what are the techniques involved in plant breeding? We shall see. So first one is the crossing or hybridization of pure lines. So here crossing. So if selfing is done, then the desired traits cannot be achieved. Why? Because self-pollination means from the same plant itself, from the same flower of the same plant, the pollen grains will fall on the stigma of the same flower of that plant, right? So there we cannot achieve the desirable traits we want, right? So that is why they go in for cross-pollination. So what do they do in cross-pollination? They choose a plant A which is of having most of the qualified traits, and they choose a plant B which is also carrying the healthy traits, maybe such as which are disease resistant, which are that is capable of giving high yields, which are capable of adjusting themselves to different growth conditions and all that. Crossing, how it is done? So what they do is usually they remove the pollen grains from the anther of this particular flower, from the anther, this is N. So from the anther of this particular flower B, they will remove the pollen grains, and in the plant A, that flower, they will remove the anther. Because why will they remove the anther? Because pollen grains from this flower should not fall on this flower, the stigma of this flower itself, right? So that is why they will remove the anther. So here, then what they will do is, they'll take this pollen grain and dust it onto plant A, and they will cover the whole flower part of plant A with a plastic covering. Now what will happen? Fertilization will occur, then the ovule formation will occur, and then the seeds will set, right? So that will happen in the case of cross-pollination. So therefore, crossing or hybridization to obtain pure lines will be done. And artificial selection of the crops will also be done in order to produce plants with desirable traits which are capable of giving high yield, which are capable of being highly nutritious, and which are capable of being resistant to diseases. Such traits will be selected. Apart from that, with the advancement of various genetic technologies in molecular biology, tissue culture, various genetic technologies and all that, plant breeding is now an increasingly carried out procedure by using various molecular genetic tools. So lots of genetic studies, all that is done. How is it done? That is, say for example, the best thing I can give you is of the golden rice. So golden rice, it is nothing but from daffodil, they took out the beta carotene gene, the gene that is responsible for the production of the beta carotene, and then they put it into the rice, normal rice, right? And what happened? That gene which was responsible for the production of the beta carotene or the vitamin A got incorporated in the rice. And that is how in the rice also vitamin A production started. So that is how, that was genetic basis. That was using the biotechnology procedure which is called as gene modification, by using gene modification techniques. So that is how it was done. So this is how various techniques have been involved. One is the normal techniques which everybody follows, which is crossing or hybridization of the plants. Then next is artificial selection of the plants and then making them to cross-pollinate, all that. And next is by using various genetic tools. So let's see what are the different steps that are involved in the breeding of crops. So first is collection of variability. So we need to collect plants which are having good traits, such as which produces high yield, or which can survive in any climatic condition or environmental stresses, which are resistant to diseases, which produces yield of nutritious quality, or which make use of less nutrition for proper growth. All that traits or all that different variable traits can be selected. After selecting, what has to be done? We have to evaluate and select the parents. First, we need to decide which traits are we looking for. Then we need to make a list of the traits. Then we need to go to the field and start seeing or selecting the parents which are having those traits in them. After that, we have to cross hybridize among the selected parents, that is cross pollination and all that. Artificial hybridization we have studied in the previous classes. So the same thing in Mendelian genetics also we had studied about it. Same thing will be done, and then after that selection and testing of superior recombinants has to be done, and then testing and release of the new variety and commercialization of the new cultivars has to be done. The commercialization, advertisement of the new cultivars, so that other farmers will come and buy that and they can incorporate that into their field. All these are the different steps that are involved in breeding of a plant. Next, let us study each of these steps one by one. The first step, that is collection of variability. Now, how can different variables of traits be listed and collected? So here, collection and preservation of all the different wild varieties, different species and relatives of the cultivated species, everything should be done by evaluating the characteristic features of that particular plant. So based on that, it should be done. And the entire collection, so whatever plants you have collected, we need to collect the seeds out of it. That is, the entire plant also can be collected, or the seeds also can be collected, and these should have actually diverse alleles of genes. The allele is nothing but an altered form of a gene, right? So they should have alleles for all the genes in a given crop, and this is called as the germplasm collection. So germplasm collection is a particular place wherein all the crop varieties having different superior quality traits are collected and being stored in the form of either in the form of a plant, growing plant, or in the form of seeds. That is called as germ collection, because we have different sets of genes now, right, in the form of seeds and all that, which are having different traits that are good for the future crop production. So that is why. So now collection of different variabilities has been done and has been stored in the germplasm. After that, evaluation and selection of parents has to be done. Now, the germplasm, that is the collection of the seeds or the living plants, they have to be evaluated to identify plants with desirable combination of characters. Say for example, a farmer might prefer a plant which is dwarf. Dwarf plants can withstand, maybe he wants to grow the crops in a region where there is high wind. So will he prefer a tall plant? No, right? He will prefer a dwarf plant. Why will he prefer a dwarf plant? Because dwarf plants can withstand the wind more when compared to the tall plants. Tall plants, one wind current, it will just fall off. So that is why. So he might prefer a dwarf plant. Is that enough? He also needs high yielding. What will he do just by protecting the plants against the wind? It is of not a good quality yield, right? So that is why he'll select two traits. One is dwarf plants and the other one that is producing large amount of yield. So now, when he goes and tells the breeder, I need such a kind of a plant, the breeder will have to search in the germplasm that he has collected. He has to search for such plants having the same trait. That is, say for example, he's searching in rice variety, or from his germplasm collection of the rice seeds, he need to search for those rice plants that are dwarf in stature, and one set of rice plant he has to select which produces high yield. So that he will select, and the selected parents will be multiplied. That is, he will start to multiply and it will be used in the process of hybridization later. Later on now we will get pure lines. What are the pure lines? Now the one of the parent is, so parent A and parent B. One parent is high yielding. The other one is dwarf. I'm just giving an example. So dwarf, now a cross will be made between the two and the resulting progeny will be high yielding plus dwarf, right? So now this is the pure line that he will maintain. Now he'll have a collection of set of seeds. By pure lines, when will we get a pure lines? He will cross it for the same experiment. He will continue for 4 to 6 generations and he'll get a pure lines wherein all the seeds that he has collected will be of high yielding as well as that is dwarf variety. So like that. And the pure lines are created whenever desirable and possible. Like that, he will, according to what the farmers need or according to the demands, he will create the pure lines and he will store it. And whenever the farmer comes, he can give that particular set of seeds to the farmers. Now, it is the duty of the farmer to maintain that particular trait throughout the generation. So that is evaluation and selection of parents is done now. So I gave the example of he has selected the parent having high yield and dwarf. And now he has a set of seed having the pure lines. After now selecting the parents, he has to cross hybridize among the selected parents. So what example I took here? I took the example of A and B. A was high yielding, B was dwarf. Now he should make a cross between the two, that is cross hybridization. So the desired characters are or should be combined from two different plants by cross hybridizing the two parents or cross pollinating the two parents to produce hybrids that genetically combine the desired characters in one plant. Now when it is crossbred, what happens in the resulting progeny? It will have high yielding as well as it will be dwarf. The plant will be dwarf and it will also be high yielding. So one of the parent was high yielding, one of the parent was dwarf. Now the progeny will be having, so both of these, it should be dominant genes, okay, in both, then only it is possible. If it is recessive, it will not get expressed. So here now when they have crossed, what happens? The resulting progeny will be dwarf in nature and also it will be high yielding. So the pollen grains, what they will do? The pollen grains from the desired plant, which will be chosen as the male parent, have to be collected and placed onto the stigma of the flowers selected of the female parent. Anyway, if this is female, this is male. From the male, the pollen grains will be selected and it will be placed. Just like artificial hybridization, we have studied this in Mendelian genetics the same way. We have got the progeny. So that is crossing. Crossing is done. And next, after cross hybridization, what should be done? Selection and testing of superior recombinants. Now we'll get a set of plants there, right? Again, think of Mendelian genetics. So if you see the study about Mendelian genetics, this will be easy for you to understand. Now, all the progenies have the same characters? No, some of the progenies may be both high yielding and dwarf variety. Some of the progenies may become only high yielding variety. Some of the progenies may become only dwarf variety, right? But what is the trait that we need now or the farmer preferred? He preferred in one plant, he wanted a dwarfness and he wanted it to be high yielding. So therefore, among that progeny, we have to select such plants which are showing both the characters, that is, which are dwarf in nature and which are high yielding in nature. So selecting among the progeny of the hybrids have to be done based on the desired character combination, and this step yields plants that are superior to both the parents. Of course, the plants are superior to both the parents, right? Because parents, one was only dwarf in nature, the other one was only high yielding in nature. But the progeny is superior to the parent because it is both dwarf as well as it is high yielding in nature. And these are self-pollinated. Now self-pollination should be done. Why again cross-pollination should not be done? Because some other trait might come and enter into that particular pure line. So that is why now self-pollination has to be done. So in that particular progeny itself, that is high yielding dwarf variety, from here only pollen grain should be taken from the anther, that is bagging should be done here. The whole flower, it should be bagged before pollination occurring only, or before the flower matures itself, it should be bagged so that the pollen grains from this flower's anther itself will fall on the stigma of the same flower itself, so that self-pollination will occur, and the next set of seeds that are formed will also be of a pure line. So that is how it is maintained. So these are self-pollinated for several generations till reach a state of uniformity, that is until homozygosity is attained, they will be self-pollinated, and so that the characters will not segregate in the progeny. It will not get segregated into different progenies and a pure line can be maintained. So that is how it is done in the case of selection and testing of superior recombinants. Now, after several generations, we have a pure line. So that pure line is, for example, it is high yielding as well as it is dwarf. For you to easily understand, I kept these two characters throughout explaining this particular topic so that it will be understood easily. After that, it should be tested whether it is up to the mark, whether what the farmer had expected, is it up to the mark. It has to be tested. Then after testing, it has to be released and it should be commercialized as new cultivars. Here, the newly selected lines, that is after several rounds or several generations of self-pollination, the pure lines or the newly selected lines will be evaluated for their yield and also other agronomic traits, quality, disease resistant, etc. In the example which I gave, it means that they will see if the progenies are they dwarf in nature, are they high yielding, they will see that, and once that is true, if that progeny exhibits such characters, they after the evaluation done by growing these in the research field. So how can we evaluate? In order to evaluate, we have to take the seeds. That seeds we have to take, sow it in the research fields and then wait for a few months until they completely develop. And once they completely mature, we'll understand the height of that plant. And one more time, once they start setting the seed, we will understand how much yield it will produce. So that is how it will be understood. And fertilizers, nutrients, irrigation, and other crop management practices such as weeding, everything should be taken care of because that is a new variety of plant that has been produced. So what type of fertilizer should be added to that? How much amount of water should be given to that? And what are the cultural practices that can be followed for that particular variety? All that testing has to be done, and if that testing proves positive, then it can be commercialized. On a large field, the crops can be grown and the seeds can be sold to the farmers in a brand name. It is of great benefit to the farmers because it would be a high yielding variety which is of great economic use to that particular farmer. So that is how they will test it, they will release it, and then they will commercialize the product as a new crop, so that for the benefit of the farmers. Now the farmer who had expected this particular trait to be in that particular plant, he will be very happy with it. So next is, after evaluating in the research fields and also testing the different materials, it will be tested in the farmer's field, because in the research field it is tested in a closed condition, right? Under great supervision or regular monitoring, it will be tested. After that, it will be given to the farmer's field. So farmer's field also they will test for at least 3 growing seasons. They will test in different locations. Can you say that the crops that will grow very well in Bangalore will grow well in Mysore also? No, it is not possible. Climate is different, soil texture might be different, everything, right? So though this particular research or testing has been done in Bangalore, and they'll come and test it in Mysore soil as well, whether it will survive or thrive in that particular soil, or whether it will give the same yield that was given in the research field. All that they will start to test. Different locations they will test, different countries also they will test, and also they will subject the plant for testing in different agronomical zones or different climatic zones. Everywhere they'll have to test the crops for at least 3 generations, that is 3 harvesting at least they have to test, and then they will evaluate that particular crop in comparison to the best available local crop cultivar, and they will check or refer that particular cultivar. or they will check whether for the local variety, whether this is a new variety or not, or did we produce a crop that already one more crop is existing with that same variety or not. All that checking will be done. And that is when they come to know that it is somewhat different to the locally available variety, they can consider it as a new variety, brand label it and sell it to the farmers for their benefit. So this is how the commercialization of the new cultivars will be done. So these are the different steps that takes place. So though it looks very easy to read, it is a quite laborious process, because we need a lot of patience to wait for the results of this particular plant breeding technique, and also precise hands are needed to perform this particular technique. So this is about the plant breeding and the various techniques that are followed in plant breeding. In the next coming sessions, we shall discuss about green revolution. Actually, plant breeding led to green revolution. So we shall understand what is this green revolution, and we shall understand how plants are bred for disease resistance. So in order to obtain a plant which is resistant to diseases and resistant to insects and all that, what exactly can be done for that, and how plants are bred in order to be free of diseases and all that, we shall study in the coming sessions. So we shall meet again in the coming sessions. Thank you.